Over the next few minutes, we're going to take you closer to your dream of tasting and sipping your way through the gorgeous vineyards of France and Italy. Chef and sommelier and author Vickie Reh lived the dream herself, and she crafted a book. It's filled with food and wine pairings. Perfection. The Wine Table is now available wherever books are sold, and it's so good to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
I want to paraphrase something from your press release, okay? It says, imagine tasting your way through Burgundy, walking through the vineyards in Champagne with winemakers, or dining late into the night on a balcony in Chianti. In The Wine Table, Vickie Reh takes us into the kitchen with winemakers. But this, to me, I'm thinking, okay, it's a book. It's so much more than a book. This is an adventure. Like, I can live vicariously through you.
It is. People consider it a cookbook. I consider it a cookbook, a wine book, and a travelogue. Yeah. Because it's 1/3 of each. It talks about food, wine, but it also talks about the regions that I visited and the people are the most important part.
And this is a sizable book.
Yeah,
Was that?
It weighs 6 pounds.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Did you plan on making it
No.
that long? And no,
I just seem to find a lot to write about.
So I think it's interesting, and I'm the first one. My country is coming out in me. It's hard for me to say sommelier.
Sommelier.
Sommelier. So you're a sommelier chef. How did that inspire you?
Well, what happened was I worked both as a wine director and as a chef, and in the course of that, I traveled quite a bit in France and Italy, and I visited vineyards. I was really interested in the vineyards, but I was almost more interested in the people who made the wine, and in the end, what they served with their wine. And my idea is that you should eat what the winemaker eats, because they know best what goes with their wine. And so I have a little hashtag, which is eat what the winemaker eats.
Oh, hashtag eat what the winemaker eats.
And I think that's the way that you should pair food and wine.
And you have an interesting story, which was like the catalyst of you to start this adventure and write this book.
I'd always been curious about what the winemakers ate, and then one time I was working at my restaurant. I don't own it, but I was the executive chef at a restaurant in Washington, D.C. called Buck's Fishing and Camping. And in came this winemaker and his son, and I'd always carried their wines in every restaurant or wine shop where I worked at, and I loved them. And they came in, and I was feeding them duck confit with a salad that had walnuts and duck cracklings. And they said, wow, that's so cool, you have these duck cracklings. The specialty of our home region in Saint-Pourçain in France is this yeast bread that has crispy duck cracklings studded within it. And I thought, oh my gosh, duck cracklings and bread, this is fantastic. And it occurred to me that it would be really interesting to go there and learn to make that recipe from the winemaker's wife, who it was her specialty.
And that's how the adventure started?
Kind of how the idea started.
Wow. All right, well, we have a couple minutes left, so let's start the process, what you're doing here, and we can talk more. What are you making?
So I wanted to make something that was on the light side. This is actually quite simple. Anyone could really make it. This is a marinade of 3 different kinds of citrus: lemon, lime, and orange juice, with a little olive oil, some coriander, salt, and pepper. And what we're going to do, as we've now used our fork, is we're going to paint the mushrooms in this. And you don't have to cook the mushrooms. Actually, this serves almost like a ceviche, where you cook it with the actual
so you can just
instead. We're going to dabble this on. Not too much. You don't want it swimming in it, but you do want there to be some liquid on, you know, all of the mushrooms. And this becomes the dressing, but also effectively a way of cooking the mushrooms. It takes a little bit of that raw mushroom flavor out of it, which I actually find a little bit unattractive when you have just raw mushrooms.
Is this recipe in your book?
It is in my book.
Excellent.
It's from a visit to Sancerre, which is in the Loire Valley in France. Did you want to paint some of these
I will. And while I'm doing this, would you mind telling me how you pick the winemakers that you like to
So a lot of them were friends of mine, but in certain cases I also met them through different wine importers who said, oh, I think this would be a great person for you to go to for your book. So next I'm going to shave this goat cheese from the Loire Valley in France. It's called Crottin de Chavignon. And if you can't find this, although I find this in the U.S. quite a bit, you can go ahead and just purchase any slightly firm goat cheese. It doesn't have to be French. There's a couple of different substitutions.
Very nice. Where can we find your book? We have less than a minute left.
Okay, it's available at a lot of bookstores. It's also available online if you go to my publisher's website. www.skyhorsepublishing.com.
Okay.
They have ways to purchase it.
Okay, and look for the wine table, the wine table. And where are you going to be out this tonight? I understand you have an event.
Tonight I'm going to be at the Boulder Wine Merchant
Okay.
in Boulder from 5:30 to 7. And I'm going to be signing books and tasting wines from a couple of the chapters in the book. They're featuring
Very nice.
some wines from the chapters.
Okay, we have 20 seconds left. Can you finish this up in 20 seconds, this recipe?
I can. I'm done.
You're done. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, so the
And then
point is that we could actually eat this and we can tell them about it, which is it's a delicious dish. It has the fruitiness of both the citrus and the really high quality olive oil, the spiciness of the coriander, the umami from the mushrooms, and then it has a really beautiful salty, grassy flavor from the cheese, which would pair with the wine from the region, which is Sancerre, which is a grassy, high acid kind of wine.
You live this life. I could see this turning into like a television series, really, or a movie. I mean, this is amazing. All right, you can meet Vickie Reh. She takes us right into the kitchen with winemakers, the wine table. It's a dreamer's guide to food, to travel, and extraordinary recipes. Pick up your copy of The Wine Table by Vickie Reh. It's available now wherever books are sold. And you could hear more about Vickie's culinary adventures at 2 special events. Tonight, she'll be at the Boulder Wine Merchant from 5:30 to 7 p.m. And on Saturday, she's at the Cupboard in Fort Collins. And that's from 1 to 4 p.m. You could also learn more about the events and get details on her Facebook page. Search Vickie's Wine Table.